Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Mount Tammany Ridge channel. As you can see, I'm not in the garage working on the splitter today. So I'm actually just across the valley, not far from, literally just on the other side of the neighborhood from where I was doing that landscaping work that I had also recorded. That was, I believe, last fall, almost on the brink of winter, really. So I'm back over here on this side of the valley, and a buddy of mine happens to live here, and he's got about 11 acres. And the part of the property that I'm working on now is really the only wooded part of the property that's left. The parcel that I'm on here is about a 3-acre piece, and it has been very, very heavily overgrown for a long time. We've got a lot of poplar trees. There was a tremendous amount of ash in here. Unfortunately, a lot of it all has basically become useless. It's been standing dead for so long. A lot of it's very, very punky on the outside. So, and then of course there's seems like a million logs that have been probably laying on the ground for a better part of 20 years. And some root balls sticking up that are so rotted. I mean, if any of you guys have dealt with root balls when you knock over a tree freshly, they can be very, very hard to get rid of. They're hard to burn, they're not good to bury, things like that. So typically a lot of times people call in people to do stump grinding, just because it's that much of a pain in the butt to get rid of them, basically. So I don't have a whole lot of that to deal with, because fortunately these root balls are so rotted that they basically pulverize to dust. And that's really the best case scenario for any customer that you might be doing this type of work for. I'm going to get the camera turned around a little bit. I'm going to show you the area that I have what we call grubbing. If you have an excavator with a thumb on it, you basically grab a small underbrush and use the previous mouthful, basically, for lack of better words or terminology, whatever. You basically grab a mouthful of underbrush and you place it on another piece that you want to remove. You release, then you have a bigger piece of underbrush clump. Just imagine, if somebody grabbed a full head of hair, right? The more hairs you grab, well, the more control you have over your opponent, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's basically kind of how this works. So I go through and I grab and pull a lot of the underbrush and get it out of here. A lot of it's very, very woody stuff, and it gets pretty thick. So I just got summoned that Teresa's here with my water and iced coffee. So the horn probably means she's in a hurry. So I'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, so now that I'm properly set up to continue working this evening, probably going to be working till 7 or so. Right now it's about 4:40, so a little over 2 hours. I should be able to get in tonight and tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be happy with where I get to. But anyway, let me get this camera turned around, and I'll kind of show you where I'm at this point, and kind of what we're looking forward to. All right, so hopefully I'm kind of using the tripod as a monopod. But so the space that I have here cleared out, I would say, is probably 1 3/4 acre at this point. It's really hard to make good time doing this right now, because I'm really starting to get back into the woods, and I say that semi-jokingly. The further I go back, the more of these dead trees, these leaners, there are. And those now leaners knock over the old leaners, which are all laying on the ground. And I'm having to go through all these and kind of move them and simultaneously remove the underbrush at the same time. And it kind of makes you feel like you're having an ADD situation, you know. Normally I just kind of go in and remove the underbrush, make several piles, and I'll deal with them, you know, whichever way I see reasonable, whether it be the skid steer or the excavator. That usually is how I go about it. But yeah, so you'll see I got a little pile here, a little pile there, another one there. That's not really the way I like to do it. Now over here toward his main property line for the backyard, he's got me piling it all up in a huge windrow pile, right? So there, I'd say that's probably, I don't know, 120 feet, maybe 150 feet. And then up there on the other side of the skid steer and the excavator is a continuation of that pile. Now along here around the back of the house, I'm leaving an open space so that, you know, if they want to get back here with their, they plan on buying a small Kubota tractor with maybe like a 3-point brush cutter, so that they can now be able to come through here and maintain it with a reasonable amount of effort. You know, right now I'm going great guns with my excavator, you know, and really kind of running hard to get this done in a reasonable amount of time. And so today we're going to work up that way. We're going to start grubbing up toward another stone row that's up there. And I'm going to try to move us back. You know, right now I think this orange line here from there out to the backyard property line is 80 feet. So I'd really like to maybe be able to go in another 80 feet, but at this point we're looking like probably, I don't know, almost 30 feet from that orange marker to that tree with the 2 big leaders on it. So we've gotten back an additional 30 feet up to about that point, right there where that pile is. So let's stop yip-yapping here, and I really need to get to it. But let's see what I can do. So you can see here, taking this clump of brush that I've got in the bucket and the thumb, and what I'm doing is I'm dropping that clump onto my next target area, I guess you could call it, whether it be a piece of briar or another shrub or bush of some sort. And it makes it a lot easier to get some sort of clamping pressure when you have a thumb design like this. You can also use the same method with ragweed. If any of you live in an area where you have a tremendous amount of ragweed that comes up every spring, if you wait until the ragweed gets green, you will have better luck getting it out.
with this same method. However, if you try to use this method when it's brown and dry, it'll just break. You won't be able to rip it out by the roots or anything. So just figured I'd give you guys a little helpful tip. If you have a mini excavator with a thumb and you think you might want to try to use this method for ragweed, it does work.
overtaken by vines. All tangled up. Get that clump that I started with, but I'm probably 30 feet away, and I got to maneuver around a whole bunch of trees that I don't have intentions to rip out. You know, I don't want to clear cut this place. I want to leave some stuff here, you know, so that you know, it still has a little bit of scenery, a little bit of habitat. I know having those big windrow piles at the back of his yard kind of defeats the purpose of having a little bit of scenery. However, he's got a few dogs, and the deer are back here all the time. And he was saying that this might be a little bit of relief for sanity's sake to have it so that maybe the dogs can't see the deer so easily. So I imagine it's going to be one of those things where, you know, maybe he might be able to come back here, I don't know, maybe with the dogs and walk and enjoy the property that way. I don't know. I know what that's like. Over at our house, we have two things that go on. We got deer in the backyard, which our dogs have gotten pretty used to, so that's not so much a thing anymore anyway. But the one thing that is annoying is, since we've cleaned up our front yard, the front part of our property, we can see the street now, and we have like a horseshoe type of neighborhood. So the block is like shaped like a horseshoe. So we're always having like Amazon, UPS, and whether they're here to deliver for us or our neighbors, the dogs see every single delivery coming in and out of the neighborhood. And boy, I'll tell you what, that's annoying. They'll be making a delivery to our neighbor's house, and our dogs are letting us know. Like, we really don't care. But they do. The dogs most certainly do care. Got a decent clump here. I wonder if I can get this sapling that I've been struggling with. Can't get a grip on it. One of the projects, I know you guys have all realized that I do enjoy, you know, welding projects, obviously. So one of the projects that I have in the future that I'd like to actually get done for jobs like this, I'm kind of going back and forth on a possible thumb idea specifically designed for this type of work, for grubbing underbrush. And you know, really it's something that would come in extremely handy for me. And at this point, it's not so much a a money hurdle, because you know the amount of, I think, money that I'd have to invest in the contraption, so to speak, would be minimal, but the amount of work, it's going to be a very involved type of thing, only because the putts who owned this thing before me, either that or the person who owned it before him, they welded the bucket pins into the ring bosses, or I should say the pin bosses, on the bucket ears, literally. And I'm not saying like they tacked them, okay? They didn't even do stringer beads, okay? They literally 100%, 360 degrees, welded the pins to the pin bosses. And I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't even see it the day I went to look at it and decide whether I wanted to buy it. And I mean, it's not something that I would have been like, oh, I'm not buying this thing. I would have bought it. I didn't have a whole lot of options available to me. It was during the excavator craze, when the whole COVID thing was going on, so the prices were getting a little out of hand and pickings were getting slim. So I definitely wouldn't have turned it down unless it was something really serious. This is just something annoying. But yeah, so I do have a cool idea for a thumb design. And there's actually going to be part of the design is going to be like an additional bolt-on piece for the bucket that will go in conjunction, either bolt-on or pin-on. I say bolt-on because these pins, these snap ring pins, they like to bail out on me when I'm doing stuff like this. You know, you get some underbrush branches in the snap ring, and it'll undo it on you. I always keep spares with me for that reason. I've already lost one. Seemed like for a while I was making some pretty good progress there, but this little spot here is a whole bunch of these, I don't know what these bushes are. Looks like if you let them go long enough, they turn more into like a woody type of tree. I don't know if you could see, but slightly to the left of the excavator boom there. This stuff that I've got in the thumb right now, I believe turns into the stuff that's over there. So. And because I don't really know what they are, I'm even leaving some of that. As long as there's no vines choking it out, which almost everything here has some amount of vines in them. So, which is a shame because the vines have done almost as much damage as like the lantern flies and the ash borers. Some of these you gotta pop the roots on. Some of them just pop right out, no problem. Little jiggly there, sitting on a piece of a branch or something on my tracks, making me a little wobbly. Excuse me. Pardon me. So some of you might be aware, I'm sure most of you are, that the southern part of New Jersey is an inferno right now, which is a shame. I don't wish that on anybody. I guess some kid was doing a bonfire party thing with his friends or whatever. Lit up a whole bunch of pallets, they had a good time, so on and so forth. I guess the end of the evening comes along, and I guess they called it quits, but they left the fire burning. So thanks to that young man and his super smart friends, we now have the whole southern part of New Jersey. Woo! Getting a little tipsy there. That was really in the ground. Southern part of New Jersey is going to look like a desert now. Sounds like a whole bunch of businesses and maybe even residences had to be evacuated, some of which had sustained damage from the fire. And I mean complete and total loss type of damage. I'm not talking like, you know, some melted siding or broken windows. I'm talking like straight up devastated, which is awful. I feel really bad for those folks. Whoa. One thing about these little mini excavators, and anybody who's, you know, run these things often, know that they're really not good at doing more than one function at a time. With the boom and the dipper, it's really not that bad. But as soon as you start trying to incorporate, you know, movements with your feet on the foot controls to move the machine around, and the joystick controls for your dipper and your boom, this thing starts getting to be a little spasmodic. I can't really help the fact that I have a natural instinct to run the machine side to side, forward and back. It's kind of tough to not. It's just kind of the way I learned to be able to operate the excavator with your feet, you know, for movement, and be able to control the house and all of its functions at the same time. So it is a little bit of a challenge with these little machines, but kind of just is what it is. And of course, you know, it used to be a bit smoother just simply because of the fact that you know, what do you call it, the bushings and the pins for the dipper and the boom, you know, they've gotten to be a little used. The guy who I bought this thing from, apparently, from what he had said, the bushings that were in, the new bushings that were in the machine only had about 200 hours on them. He replaced the tracks and the bushings supposedly all at the same maintenance interval. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here. I think for the most part, you know, doing things like jiggling for shaking dirt out, that'll be one of the #1 things. And also the one thing that was really bad for the bushings is also you know, using your bucket to side swing and push material around. You know, you snag a root or you snag a rock or something like that, and it makes your machine stop dead in its tracks when you're in full swing. You know, that'll wear out your bushings prematurely. So some of it is self-inflicted, I will admit. But when you're trying to do a job and get it done in a timely fashion, you kind of try to take whatever skill sets you may have at running these machines and max out the machine's potential. So one thing that I do on occasion is to give my hydraulic, I should say my hydraulic functions a break, is I'll take my feet off of the pedals when I'm operating the loader controls. Because I also have a bad habit of not completely letting my foot up off of whether it's a forward function or a backward function on the pedal. I have like a certain amount of pressure on it, and it's kind of telling the machine to flow the hydraulic fluid in too many directions at one time, and sometimes it just straight up locks it up and it won't let it do anything, and then you let go of the foot control and the thing freaks out on you and starts having a spaz attack. And those are all things you don't want to have happen if you're working close to a home or a vehicle or anything delicate. That'll make for a bad day. Bad day at work. Boy, I really wish I had one of those flail mowers with the woodchuck teeth on them. I don't think this thing would operate anything more than maybe one of those flail mowers. There's a company out there, I don't know if it's like a Italian company or a Chinese company, but I've seen some that'll run on a machine like this. I think the hydraulic flow on my auxiliaries, I think it's something like 16 gallons a minute or 15 gallons a minute, something like that. And I believe I heard them say something about, that's about, where that particular mower attachment needs to be on hydraulic flow. So, I don't know. Maybe one day when I'm stinking, dirty, wealthy, and rich, my wife always busts my chops. She's like, yeah, you know what, you'd be the kind that you'd go and you'd get, you'd win like a lottery ticket, you'd never have to work again, and you'd never have to, do any of that, and you would still go out and buy all this equipment and go out and do stuff like this just because you enjoy it so much. Which I will say I do enjoy it. The one thing I will admit is, for as awesome as this little mini excavator is, for me, I'm not comfortable. I'm around 6 foot tall. Some say 5'11", some say 6. I'll say I'm 6. But being crammed in this thing with knees that are already not all that hot, my knees, I have used myself riding dirt bikes and stuff almost as though I was addicted, probably because, well, I was addicted. Yeah, my knees are pretty deep. You see it just jumped there? That's because my foot was partially on the foot control. And then when I went to move the loader control, I realized that it was sluggish. I let go of my foot control, and then before you know it, that loader decided to jump to the right. So that's kind of stuff you gotta watch out for with these minis. Out here in the woods, it's not that big a deal. There's really not a whole lot out here you can hurt if this thing has a freak out session. when I'm doing dirt work with this thing, I operate it very differently. I always take my feet off the controls when I'm doing dirt work, especially close to a trench or a house or something. Whew, man, I gotta stretch my knee out. Oh. All right, well, I'm gonna give you guys a break on this camera angle, and I'll let you watch from a different angle. Everybody, so I brought you along for a little bit. I'll probably bring you along some more throughout the project. I contacted my buddy before I started recording this video, and wanted to make sure that it was okay for me to spend a little bit of time chasing around tripods and camera angles, and he said no problem at all. So I was happy to be able to do that. That way I can get you guys some kind of content. This project here, and I'm still waiting on the guy across the neighborhood to finish paying me for the landscape project I did in the fall. Or I should say, yeah, I guess finish paying me. He's paid me mostly, so he's almost paid up. But once I get those funds in on top of what I'm making on this project, I will then feel comfortable in purchasing a few other things that I need to get so I can make some meaningful forward progress on the splitter build. So, but yeah, tomorrow night after work, I'm going to be here probably around 4:30, getting back at it. So, and depending on what happens this weekend, I might be putting a new cover on the Cover It building. I might be here. I don't know, so we'll find out. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a good night.